Test for reasonableness, second criteria, element A. The measures adopted must be carefully designed to achieve the objective in question. They must not be arbitrary, unfair or based on irrational considerations. Diane Marlowe, Minister of Health.
Members will no doubt recall that Canada's drug strategy launched in 1987 created a comprehensive coordinated effort to reduce the harm caused by alcohol and other drugs to individuals, families and communities.
Why it fails. Drug prohibition in Canada began with the Opium Act of 1908. How carefully designed is a bill coming from someone who is unaware of the history of Canada's strategy in dealing with drugs? Diane Marlowe, Minister of Health.
It may well be that striving for a drug-free society is an unrealistic if laudable goal. Given what is at stake, I submit that Canadians expect us to act.
Why it fails. Expresses doubt that the objective can be achieved. Mr. Pierre de Savoy, MP.
Having said this, I think we should question how effective Bill C-7 will be once it comes into force. For instance, how many more people are expected to be arrested and convicted thanks to this bill? Who do we expect to arrest and convict? What kind of a reduction in trafficking and use is expected? Finally, will the judicial system be able to absorb the extra caseload? And what is provided in this law for the unfortunate people who have become addicted to drugs? Answers to these questions are either non-existent or unsatisfactory, as we will demonstrate in this debate.
Why it fails. Expresses concern the bill is not carefully designed. Mr. Pierre de Savoy, MP.
Indeed, we consider that Bill C-7 has several significant flaws and not only ignores the parameters to be defined in effective drug control strategy but also opens the door to some major adverse effects.
Why it fails. Expresses concern the bill is not carefully designed. Mr. Pierre de Savoy, MP.
The focus of Bill C-7 is controlling supply of drugs. It completely neglects the need to control demand, as well as aspects such as prevention, treatment and rehabilitation.
Why it fails. Expresses concern the bill is not carefully designed, based on irrational considerations. Mr. Pierre de Savoy, MP.
The May 27, 1993 issue of the Globe and Mail contained an article by Professors Esprich and Solomon about the bill now before this House. The article states the following: the new legislation fails to address the vast majority of the problems that stem from the existing legislation and raises many new concerns. The proposed legislation is more complex and impenetrable than previous laws. The bill maintains the punitive nature of the law, which is based on preconceptions which the findings of the Ledane Commission should have done away with once and for all, 20 years ago. In its present form, the bill makes drug addiction a crime.
Why it fails. Arbitrary. Based on irrational considerations. Mr. Myron Thompson, MP.
This bill is so poorly written, charter challenges leap off the page every time I turn one.
Why it fails. Not carefully designed. Expresses concern the bill would violate the Charter of Rights. Or in other words, the bill would not pass the Oakes test. Mr. Pierre de Savoy, MP.
What I see today is a document that is full of the opportunity to continually cause more and more charter challenges.
Why it fails. Not carefully designed. Expresses concern the bill would violate the Charter of Rights. Or in other words, the bill would not pass the Oakes test. Mr. Pierre de Savoy, MP.
One more thing before I conclude. I want to mention two well-known psychotropic substances which have been left out of this bill. They are, predictably, nicotine and alcohol. Even though Canada and Quebec have always been relatively tolerant about the use of such substances, the population is very aware of the fact that nicotine is harmful, causes serious health problems and reduces the quality of life and life expectancy of people. As for alcohol, driving a vehicle with 0.08% or more of that substance in your blood is already a criminal offense. I wonder then if this would not be the right time to recognize the true nature of these substances and include them in Bill C-7 with observations that would reflect our modern tolerance and awareness.
Why it fails. Arbitrary. Based on irrational considerations. Mr. Myron Thompson, MP.
I must discourage support for this bill. I also must encourage this government to return this ill-conceived and poorly worded bill to the drawing table. Then let the government return to this House with a bill that will stand the test of modern jurisprudence.
Why it fails. Not carefully designed.